Alright, so I am going to do a review of the worm factory. This is a tower. I only have 2 bins on it. And I got this for free on Marketplace. So I did not spend the money to buy one of these. I would definitely keep an eye out on Marketplace because people get rid of these. I probably will end up getting some more bins for this to be a little taller. This is an old styled one, so the lid does not sit on top. It's just this little black board. It does have a spigot, so you can have the compost tea drained right out. This top bin I just filled with just wet leaves right now. It just helps with like moisture, and eventually they'll climb up into here like this guy. They'll climb upwards into these bins, and the leaf litter is moist enough to keep them from drying out, and it also feeds them. So there's actually a couple boys in here. So I'm going to put him right back in there. When they're stressed out, or if they're like new to the bin, they tend to actually burrow down instead of migrating up. So there is, I think, some in the bottom. Yeah, there are a few. So I add like worms that I find here in the garden. And so occasionally when I add them in, they burrow down into the bottom. This is where the poop, the compost, and liquids all gravity fed into this little section. There's a little baby worm. And so there's not really anything for the worms to eat on this level, so you got to make sure that you get them out of here. The newer styled bins have a way for the worms to climb back up. It's called a worm ladder, I believe, and it's like an insert you can stick in here. I do not have that. Again, this is an older model and I got it for free, so I'm not going to complain. Essentially this bin system, it's pretty deep as far as what you can fill in there, but of course when you're adding bins in, they sink into whatever level you have stuff in. Oh, I dropped a worm. Or he climbed out. I'm not sure. I just dropped him. Alright, I'll get him later. But essentially, there are all different size worms. These are babies, these little tiny ones. These guys are babies. So you know that they're reproducing pretty well in here. You can see they've got some poop. And essentially the only stuff that's really in here is leaves. There's some cardboard. This is some banana peel. They do prefer for the foods to be in like smaller chunks, I've noticed. Sometimes I don't have the time to really sit there and do that, but I'm gonna sit here and kind of just peel this banana apart. And essentially in here there's some really big worms. The worms just work their way through everything in here, and the bottom here is where the compost and the moisture just fall under. They do say to put like a wet piece of newspaper on the bottom of here to keep the worms from getting in the bottom, and that is an option. Of course, there's a couple of blueberries in here. They haven't really eaten them, so I don't know. Maybe they're not a blueberry fan, or maybe I need to like cut them up. But they've been in here for a little while. They're not like rotting, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, I have all these little cardboard pieces and stuff to try and keep them from going to the bottom, but I'm really not that pressed. I check on them pretty frequently. And these are just like all pretty large worms. You don't want to drown them, but you also do want to make sure that they have enough moisture so that they don't dry out. If you don't have a lid or you have a way for them to climb out, a lot of the times I've heard people have them climb out of here. I have never had them climb out before. I really haven't. They do go to the bottom, and I pick them out of the bottom every couple days. But for the most part, I did lose some worms when we moved. Not like lost them in the move, like they're not just like hanging out in our boxes or anything. They didn't have enough moisture and stuff to eat, so I think some of them passed on and just kind of deteriorated in the farm. So I did have to kind of up the population in here when we moved, and honestly they're doing pretty good. I've seen babies in here, so you know they're still procreating. This stuff in here is all going to eventually break down. There's some leaf litter, there's some dirt, there's some poop. I did, when I moved them into the tank, there was some dirt in their old tank, so I did just throw it right in here. So some of this is dirt, but a good amount of it is broken down leaves, probably some broken down newspaper in here, and that sort of thing, and they just kind of do their thing. I don't find, oh, I'm knocking worms everywhere. I don't find that the bottom collects a ton of moisture right now. I don't know if it's the time of year, or maybe I'm not adding enough moisture. I feel like they do fine with the amount of moisture I have, but I have been collecting this out and just steeping it in water as well to make a compost tea. This is what I use for all of our plants, along with our compost that we make in a hot compost. I also have a cold compost, mainly because I'm lazy. So honestly, I think it works pretty well for what I need it to. There are some worms that have migrated up, like in the beginning of the video, but I haven't had a ton migrate up. I do know I need to stop putting food in the bottom bin and start putting it in this top bin. The last thing I put into the bottom was that banana peel, and I kind of just said after they're done with that, we'll start moving stuff to the top. So I think that's what I'll have to do. And this is like I said, an older model, so this lid is kind of a little goofy. It kind of just is a little sun-baked too, I think. But hey, free is free, and this setup is very expensive, so I'm not sure that I would buy this setup. I would probably try and make my own before I bought one, but since it was free, it works out for me. And they kind of do their own thing, and it's not a whole hands-on project. The bins are definitely made to last. You're not supposed to leave them in the sun or like rain. Obviously this lid doesn't stay on or keep rain out of it, so I leave it in a covered area here so that no rain gets in there and just like totally drowns them. The spigot is super handy when you do have moisture. You can just open the spigot and have it drain out. I haven't really harvested a whole lot of moisture out of here, but rather poop, so they're really easy to keep. They have experienced temperatures below 40 Not that I saw it made much of a difference so far. Obviously, moving into winter, that will be different. These guys will be going into a more climate controlled area. I mean, not exactly climate controlled, but more than just being out and about. These don't smell at all. Like, this does not smell. It just smells like leaves to me. The poop doesn't smell. Like, I don't think any of the food smells. So if you're looking for something to have maybe inside your mud room or like a shed, your garage, all those things, like, this does not attract animals at all. We've had animals get into our trash here, but never have tried to get into the worm tower. So I really think it's great for folks who maybe live in an area with more neighbors, or you want to have some vermicomposting inside the house or something like that. It's a good teaching piece of equipment too. You can teach kids a little bit more hands-on with this, a little bit more controlled than just trying to find some worms under a rock, although that can be fun too. But it is a good piece of equipment. I think moving forward we might add some more bins in here and some more worms and see where that takes us, because this has been a pretty decent experience with it. I haven't really run into any complications yet, so we will see how that looks moving forward as well. If you are someone who really wants these guys stay outside, so it's a little dirty, but like if you did this inside, you wouldn't have any problems with dirt or smell. I mean, I think it's a really good option if you don't want to make your own. Of course, you're buying that expense, so it's really your budget, what your budget can handle. And again, I would definitely keep an eye out on Marketplace or Craigslist for these if someone's getting rid of them, because they do come up every once in a while. So I hope that kind of answers a lot of the questions about it. If it doesn't, feel free to comment and I'll get back to you on it. This little sheet, it says courtesy of Washington State University Extension Service. So Washington State's Agriculture Extension must have put this together, this little stick-on, or maybe the whole thing, I'm not sure, to be honest. Since this is a really old styled one, I don't know if it was something done by their agriculture extension. That would be really cool. But they do tell you pretty much exactly how to manage everything on there. It also, if you're not buying it used or getting it used, it comes with a manual, so it gives you instructions and everything. If you don't have that, you can look it up. There's a PDF instructions on this guy and how it works, how they migrate from the bottom bin all the way up, and how to actually move trays around. So if you do find one and don't have instructions, they are out there. You just have to Google them. And they're pretty easy to take care of. So again, if you have any questions, feel free. I think it's been a really nice change since our bucket and tank systems, because it's a little bit easier to harvest stuff and not have to sort everything. So that's been really helpful for us. So if you want to drop us a comment, subscribe, or like our page, feel free. We do these videos pretty frequently, and hopefully we can test some more and review some more products. If you guys have any that you want to see reviewed, just drop me a comment. There are a couple other things I am going to be reviewing within the next couple of weeks, so I can just add it straight to that list. So I will see y'all later.